open.
Lass uns mit einem Gebet anfangen. Dear Heavenly Father, we want to thank you that we can gather here.
Lieber himmlischer Vater, wir danken dir, dass wir uns hier versammeln können.
We thank you that you want to lead us into all truth.
Wir danken dir, dass du uns in alle Wahrheit leiten möchtest.
And that you have promised that if we receive it, it will set us free.
Dass du uns versprochen hast, dass wenn wir sie erhalten, dann wird sie uns freisetzen.
And please help us, therefore, this morning that we can understand your word.
Und deswegen bitte hilf uns heute Morgen dein Wort zu verstehen.
And that it can remove all the rubbish of error from our minds.
Sodass all der Unrat des Irrtums aus unserem Verstand entfernt werden kann.
And I ask that you would really explain to us the things that are shortly to come.
Und ich möchte bitten, dass du uns deswegen all die Dinge erklärst, die in Kürze kommen werden.
That we can prepare for this time.
Dass wir uns auf diese Zeit vorbereiten können.
And that we would not be found like the foolish virgins without oil.
Dass wir nicht wie die törichten Jungfrauen erfunden werden ohne Öl.
And therefore we ask now for this golden oil by the two anointed ones.
Und deswegen bitten wir jetzt um das goldene Öl der zwei Gesalbten.
And please also bless us when we hear your word, and also Brother Mark when he relays it.
Und deswegen bitte segne uns jetzt, wenn wir dein Wort hören und wenn auch Bruder Mark, wenn er es darlegt.
In Jesus' name, amen.
In Jesu Namen, Amen.
Okay, so this morning we're going to look at this topic of true and false law.
Heute Morgen werden wir uns das Thema über das wahre und falsche Gesetz anschauen.
Okay, and if we just turn to Revelation 13.
Geht zur Offenbarung 13.
And verse 11.
Und Vers 11.
It says, I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. He had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. So this phrase here is marking two histories.
Dieser Ausdruck hier markiert zwei Geschichten.
And what I want us to understand is when the two horns are like a lamb, we're under true law, right?
Also ich möchte, dass wir verstehen, wenn diese zwei Hörner wie ein Lamm sind, dann ist es eben dieses wahre Gesetz.
Because the United States was set up based upon God's order,
Weil
right?
die USA wurde aufgerichtet, basierend auf Gottes Ordnung.
Where true human rights were protected.
Wo wahre Menschenrechte beschützt wurden.
Okay, but when it speaks like a dragon, you're now under this law.
Aber
right?
wenn es wie ein Drache spricht, dann ist man unter diesem Gesetz.
Okay, and we'll explain this. If we go to the first heading in the notes,
Wir werden das erklären. Gehen wir zu der ersten Überschrift in den Notizen,
where it says the purpose of kings.
wo es sagt, der Zweck der Könige.
Okay, it says, verse 1.
Vers 1.
It says, let every soul be subject unto the higher power. So God has ordained it that we be subject unto these kings.
Also
Right?
der Herr hat es bestimmt, dass wir diesen Königen untertan sein sollen.
For there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power resisteth the ordinance of God, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. So the powers of be are ordained of God.
Also
Right?
die Mächte, die sind durch Gott ordiniert.
Okay, and we know that at the beginning of the time of peace is where the Lord sets up kings.
Und wir wissen, am Anfang der Zeit des Friedens ist es, wenn der Herr Könige aufrichtet.
Right? God is the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end.
Gott ist das Alpha und Omega, der Anfang und das Ende.
And the end of the time of trouble is where he takes down kings.
Und am
Right?
Ende der Zeit der Trübsal, da setzt er Könige ab.
Because that's where he overthrows them.
Weil
Right?
dann stürzt er sie um.
Right? He overthrows them, then sets up another one.
Er
Right?
stürzt sie und dann richtet er einen anderen auf.
So we can know from that when he ordains the king, he ordains them under this law. Right?
Deswegen wissen wir, wenn er diesen König ordiniert, dann ordiniert er ihn unter diesem Gesetz.
And it's because of this law that they get overthrown.
Und wegen diesem Gesetz werden sie dann umgestürzt.
Right, it's verse 3.
Vers 3.
It says, "For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil." This is how the Lord sets it up, right?
So also setzt er sie ein.
"Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. For he is the minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid, for he beareth not the sword in vain. For he is the minister of God, a revenger, to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. Wherefore ye must needs be subject, not only for wrath, but also for conscience sake. For this cause pay ye tribute, for they are God's ministers, attending continually upon this very thing. Render therefore to all their dues, tribute to whom tribute is due, custom to whom custom, fear to whom fear, honour to whom honour." Right? So, and the difference between these two, right, is true law is you're innocent until proven guilty.
Und der Unterschied zwischen den Gesetzen ist, dass du hier unschuldig bist, bis du als schuldig bewiesen wirst.
But Satan, he perverts God's law, right?
Aber Satan, er verdreht Gottes Gesetz.
Under this one, you're guilty until proven, excuse me, innocent, right? Just totally reversed.
Hier ist also ein Mist. Also unter dem hier ist man dann schuldig, bis man als unschuldig erwiesen wird. Also das ist genau umgekehrt.
And the reason why I'm speaking about this, right, there are some cases at the moment, for instance, you can take Donald Trump, for instance.
Und
Right?
der Grund, warum ich das jetzt sage, ist eben, weil es im Moment Fälle gibt, zum Beispiel von Donald Trump.
They don't care whether he's innocent or not.
Sie
Right?
sorgen sich nicht darum, ob er unschuldig ist oder nicht.
But they are doing everything, even if the charges don't stick, just to discredit somebody so bad that people will think that he's guilty, right?
Also selbst wenn die Anklagen nicht haften, also nicht stimmen, dann versuchen sie
so viel gegen ihn einzubringen, dass die Menschen denken werden, dass er schuldig ist.
dann versuchen sie so viel gegen ihn anzubringen, dass die Menschen denken, dass er eben schuldig ist.
Okay, the difference is this one is based upon the rule of law.
Das hier ist basierend auf der Regel des Gesetzes.
And this one is based upon public opinion,
Und das hier ist basierend auf der öffentlichen Meinung.
right? And
Rule of Law ist Rechtsstaatlichkeit.
Okay. Also das ist Rechtsstaatlichkeit.
okay, so and what I want you to see is that actually we are in a type of the time of trouble, right?
Und was ich euch sehen lassen will, weil wir sind ja in Wirklichkeit in einer Zeit der Trübsal.
Okay, and before our very eyes, this one is being manifested.
Und
Right?
vor unseren Augen wird das hier manifestiert.
I mean, there was just not that long ago, I was just reading this, that there was a Japanese, she was a high judge in Japan, and she even tweeted that, yeah, you have to prove your innocence, right?
Also vor nicht allzu langer Zeit habe ich von einer japanischen Richterin also einer hohen Richterin einen Tweet gelesen, wo sie gesagt hat, dass du musst beweisen, dass du unschuldig bist.
Okay, and then quickly deleted it afterwards when she realized that wasn't, people were not happy with this.
Und das hat sie dann schnell wieder gelöscht, nachdem sie erkannt hat, dass Leute darüber nicht glücklich waren.
But what you need to understand, that's the spirit that's prevalent in the world at the moment.
Aber was man verstehen muss, das ist eben der Geist, der vorherrschend ist in der Welt im Moment.
Okay, there's another case, maybe the German people might not know him so well, but a guy called Russell Brand, and he was openly speaking out about these he's openly speaking about the globalist agenda, specifically the snakebite test, right?
Und es gibt auch noch einen weiteren Fall, den kennen vielleicht die Deutschsprachigen nicht so, aber der hieß Russell Brand.
Yes.
Also Russell Brand, und der hat sich öffentlich gegen die globalistische Agenda ausgesprochen, auch vor allem den Schlangenbiss-Test.
Okay, and all of a sudden, there's 4 women appear out of nowhere making statements against him for rape, right?
Und plötzlich aus dem Nichts sind 4 Frauen aufgestanden und haben einfach gesagt, dass also Anklagen gemacht, dass er sie misshandelt hat.
Now, the point is, under this type of law, it doesn't matter if it's true or not.
Und
Right.
unter diesem Gesetz da macht es, also tut es nicht zur Sache, ob es wahr ist oder falsch.
Okay, the way that people's minds are engineered through social media and the media outlets,
Also die Art und Weise, wie das aufgerichtet ist, also die Medien und was ist Media?
Der Verstand der Menschen.
no, social media, that's the computer,
Yes.
but, and also the media outlets, which the news.
Aha. Also wie der Verstand geformt wird von den sozialen Medien und auch den Nachrichtenagenturen.
Okay, that they tend to believe everything that they're fed, right?
Und dann tendieren sie dazu, dass sie alles glauben, was ihnen gefüttert wird sozusagen.
There was also just in Germany a recent case, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, like with a politician in Bavaria, they did the very same thing. It's like a media coverage about him, that he was like this right-wing guy, and they accused him of all these things, but found out to be totally fabricated.
Yes. Okay, but the point is that, like I said, it doesn't matter if it's true or false, because it's so damaging against you that the person never recovers, even though they're later found innocent, right?
Also der Punkt ist, ob das jetzt wahr ist oder nicht. Also es schädigt dann so sehr deinen Ruf, dass es dann, obwohl du später vielleicht als unschuldig bewiesen wirst, kannst du dich nie davon erholen.
Okay, because very often the very media outlets that bring forth all the false charges against you don't report when the person is found innocent, right?
Weil sehr oft berichten dann die Nachrichtenagenturen dann nicht mehr über diese Person, dass sie dann unschuldig bewiesen wurde.
So this one's basically all based upon hearsay, right?
Das ist also eigentlich basierend auf Hörensagen, also eigentlich Lästern.
Right, and exactly, this is based upon gossip.
Und das ist basierend auf Lästerung,
What does
Vertratschen.
Twitter, what is it?
Was ist Twitter?
Twitter is a name for birds twittering, right?
Also Twitter ist ein Name, dass diese Vögel zwitschern.
Right, it's all about gossip, right? And people want to hear the latest gossip, right?
Es geht immer um diesen Tratsch. Die Leute wollen den neuesten Tratsch hören.
So through social media platforms, the world, their minds are being engineered to love and listen and look for the latest gossip,
Und
right?
durch die sozialen Medien wird der Verstand der Leute so geformt, dass sie dann das lieben und den letzten Tratsch eben hören wollen.
Okay, they will go to work in the morning and say, oh, did you hear this? Or did you hear that?
Sie Gehen
right?
am Morgen zur Arbeit und dann sagen sie, oh, habt ihr schon das gehört oder habt ihr das gehört?
Okay, and it becomes a big topic of discussion, right?
Das wird dann zu einem großen Gesprächsthema.
Okay, but if you go back to Romans 13, verse 8,
Wenn wir zurück zu Römer 13, Vers 8 gehen,
it explains that the civil powers have been put there to protect man, right?
das erklärt uns dann, dass die Staatsmächte da eingesetzt wurden, um den Menschen zu beschützen.
Because it goes on, it says in verse 8,
In Vers 8 sagt es dann,
owe no man anything, but to love one another, for he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law. This is the law that the kings are there to honor, right?
das ist das Gesetz, wofür die Könige eingesetzt sind, das zu ehren.
Okay, we were talking about this just a week or so ago, about this, what's the word I'm looking for now?
Theocracy.
Yes, thank you. It was right on the tip of my tongue. And the theocracy, right?
Also vor einer Woche oder so haben wir uns dieses Thema der Theokratie angeschaut.
Okay, so they will put, and when they bring here, they will make a false theocracy, right?
Und wenn sie das einsetzen, dann werden sie eine falsche Theokratie machen.
Okay, hence they will bring religious laws in with the civil law, right?
Deswegen werden sie dann religiöse Gesetze zusammen mit den staatlichen Gesetzen verbinden.
But it clearly says here, it's only for civil law, right?
Aber es sagt hier ganz klar, dass es nur für staatliche Gesetze
For the benefit of human to human, right?
zum Nutzen für den Mensch zum Mensch.
It says, for this thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not covet. And if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbour as thyself. Love worketh no ill to his neighbour, therefore love is the fulfilling of the law. So when you don't love your neighbour, you're breaking this law,
Wenn
right?
du deinen Nächsten nicht liebst, dann brichst du dieses Gesetz.
When you speak falsely of your neighbour, you're breaking this law,
Wenn
right?
du falsch über deinen Nächsten sprichst, dann brichst du dieses Gesetz.
Slander, at least in my lifetime, was if you took somebody to court for slander and it was proven that they had slandered you, you could gain massive amounts of money because it generally ruined your whole life, right?
Und wenn du, also,
Rufmord.
okay, also wenn jemand wegen Lästerung zum Gericht gebracht wurde, dann konntest du viel Geld daraus ziehen, weil das ist ja dieser Rufmord und das schädigt dein ganzes Leben.
Dass du das gemacht hast.
Okay, wenn sie herausgefunden haben, dass du es wirklich gemacht hast, dann
Wenn sie herausgefunden, dass du Rufmord gegen jemand anders betätigt hast, dann musst du dir anderen Geld geben.
Also Rufmord, ja, das ist, wenn
Ja.
du jemanden falsch
Ich
angreifst.
weiß, aber-
Ja.
was habe ich jetzt falsch gesagt?
Und du hast gesagt, dass wenn sie herausfinden, dass du was Falsches gemacht hast.
Ach so. Wenn sie herausgefunden haben, dass der andere Rufmord begangen hat, dann
Muss er dir viel Schaden sagen.
muss er dir viel Schadensersatz zahlen.
Okay, right. So, anyway, go to these first couple of quotes.
Gehen wir zu den ersten paar Zitaten.
It says, an illustration of this truth is found in the history of ancient Babylon. To Nebuchadnezzar the king, the true object of national government was represented under the figure of a great tree, whose height reached unto heaven, and the sight thereof unto the end of all the earth. The leaves thereof were fair, and the fruit thereof much, and in it was meat for all. Under its shadow the beasts of the field dwelt, and among its branches the birds of the air had their habitation. This representation shows the character of a government that fulfills God's purpose, a government that protects and upbuilds the nation. Right? That's this under this law, right?
Das ist unter diesem Gesetz.
It's there to protect, right, our fellow man, right?
Das ist da, um den Mitmenschen zu beschützen.
Okay, people, I know that in this movement these expressions were used, English law and Roman law,
Und ich
right?
weiß, in dieser Bewegung wurden die Ausdrücke englisches Gesetz und römisches Gesetz
Okay,
benutzt.
these two expressions are based upon how the papacy, right, Rome, dealt with people in the past,
Und
right?
diese zwei Ausdrücke wurden eben benutzt, wie das Papsttum damals mit Menschen umgegangen ist.
Okay, so they would bring witnesses, call you, and if you were accused of being a heretic, you were brought before them, right?
Wenn du als Ehelehrer angeklagt wurdest, dann wurdest du vor sie gebracht.
Okay, and basically they would, you had to prove your innocence.
Und im Grunde musstest du deine Unschuld beweisen.
And very often their methods, right, of proving your innocence, they would throw you into the water, right?
Und sehr oft ihre Methoden waren, um deine Unschuld zu beweisen, dich ins Wasser zu werfen.
If you drowned, you were innocent,
Wenn du untergegangen bist, dann warst du unschuldig.
right? And if you lived, you were a witch, and then they burned you,
Wenn du
right?
überlebt hast, dann warst du eine Hexe und sie haben dich verbrannt.
Okay, and this was the mentality, right?
Und das war eben diese Mentalität.
You were guilty based upon these rumors that were brought forth, right?
Du warst schuldig, basierend auf diesen Gerüchten, die hervorgebracht wurden.
Okay, and very often they manufactured these things just to get rid of you,
Und
right?
sehr oft haben sie diese Dinge hergestellt, um einfach dich loszuwerden.
Okay, next quote.
Nächstes Zitat.
I saw that the Lord still has something to do with the laws of the land. While Jesus is in the sanctuary, God's restraining spirit is felt by rulers and people. But Satan controls to a great extent the mass of the world. And were it not for the laws of the land, we would experience much suffering. Right? So the laws of the land are put there to protect us. Right?
Die Gesetze des Landes sind eingesetzt, um uns zu beschützen.
The laws of the land are there as a restraint against evildoers.
Die Gesetze des Landes sind eingesetzt als eine Zügelung für die bösen
Okay,
Übeltäter.
and we will see what happens when they start tampering with those laws,
Und
right?
wir werden sehen, was passiert, wenn sie mit diesen Gesetzen sie verändern oder rumspielen.
Okay, next quote.
Nächstes Zitat.
But so long as Jesus remains man's intercessor in the sanctuary above, the restraining influence of the Holy Spirit is felt by rulers and people. It still controls to some extent the laws of the land. Were it not for these laws, the condition of the world would be much worse than it is now. While many of our rulers are active agents of Satan, God also has his agents among the leading men of the nation. The enemy moves upon his servants to propose measures that would greatly impede the work of God. But statesmen who fear the Lord are influenced by holy angels to oppose such propositions with unanswerable arguments. Thus a few men will hold in check a powerful current of evil. Right? Okay. And so under this law, you are presumed innocent,
Unter
right?
diesem Gesetz wird angenommen, dass du unschuldig bist.
And it's based upon God's law,
Das
right?
ist basierend auf Gottes Gesetz.
Because when you go to John chapter 7,
Weil wenn man zu Johannes 7 geht,
verse 50,
Vers 50,
it says, Nicodemus saith unto them, he that came to Jesus by night, being one of them, doth our law judge any man before it hear him, and know what he doeth? Okay, so what was Nicodemus saying?
bis Vers 51. Was hat also Nikodemus gesagt?
You're innocent until proven guilty,
Du
right?
bist unschuldig, bis du als schuldig erwiesen
You
wurdest.
can't condemn a man based upon hearsay. You have to first hear him,
Du
right?
kannst nicht einen Menschen verdammen wegen Hören sagen, sondern du musst zuerst ihn anhören.
Okay, and the law says, God's law,
Und Gottes Gesetz sagt,
in Deuteronomy 17:6,
in 5. Mose 17, Vers 6,
at the mouth of 2 witnesses or 3 witnesses shall he that is worthy of death be put to death, but at the mouth of 1 witness he shall not be put to death, right? And God's law is speaking about the 3 angels' messages,
und
right?
Gottes Gesetz spricht über die dreifache Engelsbotschaft.
These are these 2 or 3
Das
witnesses,
sind diese
right?
2 oder 3 Zeugen.
And in Deuteronomy 19, verse 15,
Und in 5. Mose 19, Vers 15.
one witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity, or for any sin in any sin that he sinneth. At the mouth of 2 witnesses, or at the mouth of 3 witnesses, shall the matter be established. So, through this medium,
Durch dieses Medium
right, what you try to do is establish the matter without any facts, right?
versuchst du eine Sache zu etablieren ohne irgendwelche Tatsachen.
You try to get the weight of the people's mind engineered to think in the direction that you want them to think,
Du
right?
versuchst den Verstand der Menschen in diese Richtung zu formen, wie du möchtest, dass sie denken.
Okay, so under this one, you're presumed guilty because the rumors are spread, and then when you're brought before the courts, there's already a mass media and public frenzy that they want justice upon you, right?
Und unter diesem Gesetz, da wirst du eben als schuldig angenommen, damit, wenn du vor das Gericht gebracht wirst, dann sind schon all diese, durch diese Gerüchte, gibt es dann schon eine Massen an Aufruhr gegen dich.
And it's actually unlawful. It can be a mistrial in America if that happens, right?
Und das ist sehr schrecklich, weil das kann dann ein
Gesetz raus, es kann Fehlverhör.
ein Fehlverhör dann werden in Amerika.
Okay, right. Anyway, let's. So presumption of guilt is making you a scapegoat, right?
Also, dass du,
Vorsatz der Schuld.
wie heißt das?
Vorsatz.
Also der Vorsatz der Schuld ist, dass dich zu einem Sündenbock machen.
Okay, so go to Luke chapter 20
Dann gehen wir zu Lukas 20
and verse 19.
und Vers 19.
It says, and the chief priests and the scribes the same hour sought to lay hands on him, and they feared the people, for they perceived that he had spoken this parable against them. So just like people out there today, they speak out against these evildoers, right?
Wie Leute heutzutage da draußen, sie sprechen sich aus gegen diese Übeltäter.
So what did they do?
Was tun sie also?
Verse 20.
Vers 20.
And they watched him and sent forth spies, which should feign themselves just men, that they might take hold of his words, so that they might deliver him unto the power and authority of the governor. So they're looking now, when you speak out against them, they will look at you and try to find things on you to put you before the governor, right?
Also wenn du dann dich gegen sie aussprichst, dann versuchen sie jetzt irgendetwas gegen dich zu finden, um dich dann vor die Herrscher zu bringen.
So when a man who's well known for 10 years, 15 years or whatever, right?
Wenn ein Mensch, der schon sehr bekannt ist für 10 oder 15 Jahre,
And suddenly he speaks out about an agenda, right, that's been promulgated in the world, right?
sich dann plötzlich gegen eine Agenda ausspricht, die in der Welt befürwortet wird.
And within a very short period of time, suddenly 4 witnesses spring up against you just out of the blue like that. I think you need to be very suspicious about that, right?
Und wenn sich dann in Kürze dann plötzlich aus dem Blauen oder aus dem Nichts sozusagen diese 4 Zeugen aufstehen gegen ihn, dann muss man sich darüber wundern.
Okay, we can't also assume that they're false, right?
Wir können auch nicht annehmen, dass sie falsch sind.
But we must allow the rule of law to work, right?
Aber wir müssen diese wie heißt
Rechtsstaatlichkeit.
Rechtsstaatlichkeit erlauben, dass sie wirkt.
Cannot allow this to work,
Wir
right?
können nicht erlauben, dass das arbeitet.
Okay, and that's why this is never to be allowed in God's church, right?
Deswegen darf das nie in Gottes Gemeinde erlaubt werden.
It says this is a disfellowship. It's a cause for disfellowship.
Das ist eine Ursache für den Ausschluss.
Okay, it says, verse 21.
Vers 21.
And they asked him, saying, Master, we know that thou sayest and teachest rightly, Neither acceptest thou the person of any, but teachest the way of God truly. Is it lawful for us to give tribute unto Caesar or no? But he perceived their craftiness and said unto them, Why tempt ye me? Right? Go to the next quote.
Gehen wir zum
In
nächsten.
fact, it's right at the bottom. I nearly forgot to put this one. It's right at the very bottom.
Also, no, only in German.
That one's right there.
Okay, also gehen wir zum nächsten Zitat und im Deutschen ist das ganz weit, also das unterste.
It says, The words, we know that thou sayest and teachest rightly. Had they been sincere, would have been a wonderful admission, but they were spoken to deceive. Nevertheless, their testimony was true. The Pharisees did know that Christ said and taught rightly. Okay? So, the Lord knows everything, right?
Der Herr weiß alles.
So the point is that these people out there, they don't really have God on their side,
Der
right?
Punkt ist, die Leute da draußen haben nicht wirklich Gott auf ihrer Seite.
In the case of Donald Trump, it's a bit different because the Lord has ordained it that he's a subject of Bible prophecy and the Lord has ordained how things will turn out,
Und
right?
im Fall von Donald Trump, das ist ein bisschen anders, weil er ist ein Thema der biblischen Prophetie und der Herr hat es so bestimmt, wie die Dinge sich dann wenden werden.
Okay, but for many people in the world, when this comes upon them, their lives are completely ruined.
Für
Right.
viele Leute in der Welt, wenn das über sie kommt, dann ist ihr Leben ganz ruiniert.
However, we have a God in heaven. This is our hope, right?
Nichtsdestotrotz, wir haben einen Gott im Himmel, das ist unsere Hoffnung.
Okay, so because when you go to Mark 14
Wenn wir zu Markus 14 gehen,
and 55,
Vers 55,
it says, And the chief priests and all the council sought for witness against Jesus to put him to death, and found none. For many bare false witness against him, but their witness agreed not together. Right? So all these false witnesses came against Christ.
all
Right?
diese falschen Zeugen sind gegen Christus gekommen.
Okay, go to Matthew 26,
Gehen wir zu Matthäus
verse
26,
59.
Vers 59.
Now the chief priests and elders and all the council sought false witness against Jesus to put him to death. Now why are they seeking false witness?
Warum suchen sie nach falschen Zeugnissen?
You've done nothing wrong.
No, because they'd spoken against him. He had spoken against them.
Weil er sich gegen sie geäußert hat.
That's why they want these false witnesses. Right?
Deswegen wollten sie diese falschen Zeugen.
Okay. They're not able to discredit him, so now they're seeking to put him to death, right?
Sie sind nicht in der Lage, ihn zu diskreditieren. Und jetzt wollen sie ihn also zu Tode bringen.
It says, but found none. Yeah, though many false witnesses came, yet found they none. At last came 2 false witnesses, right? So, even though the law says the testimony of 2 is a thing established, you must prove whether these witnesses are also credible witnesses,
Also
right?
obwohl das Gesetz sagt, dass in 2 oder 3 Zeugen wird die Sache etabliert, müssen sie auch bewiesen werden, dass sie wahre Zeugen sind.
Under this, nobody knows whether they're credible witnesses. They just listen to what they say and they take it as if it was true, right?
Und unter dem weiß also niemand, ob es glaubhafte Zeugen sind, aber sie nehmen einfach an, dass sie wahr sind.
Okay, so go to the next quote
Gehen wir zum nächsten Zitat
from Great Controversy.
vom großen Kampf.
It says, Satan well knows that all whom he can lead to neglect prayer and the searching of the scriptures will be overcome by his attacks. Because if you're not kept by prayer, when these things come upon you, you will fall, right?
Wenn du nicht durch das Gebet bewahrt wirst, wenn diese Dinge dann über dich kommen, wirst du fallen.
If you don't know the scriptures, you will fall.
Wenn du die Schriften nicht kennst, wirst du fallen.
Because you've got nothing to base your hope upon,
Weil
right?
du hast nichts, worauf du deine Hoffnung basieren kannst.
You've got nothing to reprove that which is false.
Du hast nichts, um das zu teilen, was falsch ist.
It says, therefore he invents every possible device to engross the mind. There has ever been a class professing godliness who instead of following on to know the truth, make it their religion to seek some fault of character or error of faith in those with whom they do not agree. Such are Satan's right-hand helpers. Accusers of the brethren are not few, and they are always active when God is at work and his servants are rendering him true homage. So when he has a people that are proclaiming the truth in the church, there will come forth all these false accusers. It's exactly the same principle, right?
Wenn die Leute hat in der Gemeinde, die die Wahrheit verkünden, dann werden all diese falschen Ankläger aufkommen. Das ist immer dasselbe Prinzip.
They will put a false colouring upon the words and acts of those who love and obey the truth. They will represent the most earnest, zealous, self-denying servants of Christ as deceived or deceivers. It is their work to misrepresent the motives of every true and noble deed, to circulate insinuations and arouse suspicion in the minds of the inexperienced. In every conceivable manner, they will seek to cause that which is pure and righteous to be regarded as foul and deceptive. That's this law, right?
Das ist dieses Gesetz.
They're making you guilty, right, just by these insinuations,
Sie
right?
machen dich schuldig nur durch diese Andeutungen.
Evil surmising. It's like typically.
Evil surmisings, yes.
Das ist dieses böse Vermutungen.
It says, but none need be deceived concerning them. It may be readily seen whose children they are, whose examples they follow, and whose work they do. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Their course resembles that of Satan, the envenomed slanderer, the accuser of our brethren. Right? So this is slander, right? Gossip.
Das ist eben Lästerung, also Tratsch.
Okay? So if you slander your brother, you break the last 6 commandments, right?
Also wenn du gegen deinen Bruder lästerst, dann brichst du die 6 Gebote.
Because you don't love your brother as yourself.
Die letzten 6 Gebote, weil du liebst deinen Bruder dann nicht wie dich selbst.
I mean, it goes even to evil surmising, because evil surmising first begins in your heart and your thoughts, right? It's like you condemn somebody based upon just your surmisings and not based upon facts. Right?
Yeah, Satan, it's only if you cherish those thoughts. Satan puts lots of evil surmisings in our mind all the time about people, right?
Also das fängt in seinen Gedanken an, also Satan, der macht die ganze Zeit böse Vermutungen gegen Leute in unseren Verstand, aber nur wenn du sie hegst, dann wird das ein Problem.
But this would basically break already. You would say somebody's guilty before until he proves his innocency. So this basically is the beginning of slander and gossip.
Yes, slander begins in your heart, right?
Und das ist eben dann schon der Anfang, also diese Lästerung, die fängt dann in deinem Herzen an, dass du denkst, er muss seine Unschuld beweisen.
If you repeat those words that Satan puts in your heart, you're doing his work. You're now slandering the person that he told you should slander, right?
Also wenn du die Worte dann wiederholst, die Satan in deinen Verstand gelegt hat, dann lästerst du eben gegen eine Person, gegen er möchte, dass du lästerst.
Okay, it says, the great deceiver has many agents ready to present any and every kind of error to ensnare souls. Heresies prepared to suit the varied tastes and capacities of those whom he would ruin. That's what he's trying to do, trying to ruin your reputation, right?
Er möchte eben deinen Ruf ruinieren.
Well, it's terrible, the amount of things they could dig up from us from our past. I mean, they could just heap those things upon you, right?
Das ist schrecklich, wie viele Dinge aus unserer Vergangenheit sie über uns bringen können. Sie können es einfach auf uns aufhäufen.
Okay, it says, it is his plan to bring into the church insincere, unregenerate elements that will encourage doubt and unbelief, and hinder all who desire to see the work of God advance and to advance with it. Many who have no real faith in God or in his word will assent to some principles of truth and pass as Christians, and thus they are enabled to introduce their errors as scriptural doctrines. Okay, Satan is working, doing this, right?
Satan arbeitet, er macht dies.
Okay, next heading, false charges, right?
Nächste Überschrift, falsche Anklagen.
Because all this is speaking about the end of the world,
Weil
right?
all das spricht über das Ende der Welt.
And the external is just illustrating the internal,
Und das
right?
Externe stellt einfach nur das Interne dar.
So when we go to the book of Ezra, chapter 4,
Gehen wir zum Buch Esra, Kapitel 4.
here we find an account of what's going to come against God's people.
Hier finden wir eine Erzählung darüber, was über Gottes Volk kommen wird.
Verse 11.
Vers 11.
This is the copy of the letter that they sent unto him, even unto Artaxerxes the king, thy servants, the men on this side of the river, and at such a time. So these men here were evil surmising against the Jews, right?
Also diese Männer hier, die haben Böses vermutet gegen die Juden.
So they take their evil surmisings and they put it into a document, right?
Also sie nehmen ihre bösen Vermutungen und schreiben es in ein Dokument.
And they sent it to the king,
Sie haben
right?
es zum König gesandt.
It says, Be it known unto the king that the Jews which came up from thee to us are come unto Jerusalem, building the rebellious and the bad city, and have set up the walls thereof, and joined the foundations. Be it known now unto the king that if this city be builded, and the walls set up again, they will not pay toll, tribute, and custom, and so thou shalt damage the revenue of the kings. Now what did we read in Romans 13?
Was haben wir in Römer 13 gelesen?
To pay homage to do homage and tax to do tax and Jews to do
Well, it doesn't say
Jews, it says.
custom, right?
Also es sagt, diese Steuern.
Yeah, Jews, but Jews is not speaking about money. In this sense, custom. Pay custom to whom custom is due, right?
Also zahle Steuern, wem Steuern gebührt.
Okay, and that's part of the law that he has, Christ has given to the kings, right?
Das ist Teil des Gesetzes, was Christus den Königen gegeben hat.
Okay, so one of the accusations that will come against you is that these people don't want to pay taxes, right?
Und eine Anklage, die kommen wird, ist eben, dass diese Leute nicht Steuern zahlen wollen.
Okay, and it says, know this, that's a rebellious city. Verse 14.
Vers 14.
Now because we have maintenance from the king's palace, and it was not meet for us to see the king's dishonour, therefore we have sent and certified the king, that search may be made in the book of the records of thy fathers. So shalt thou find in the book of the records, and know that this city is a rebellious city, and hurtful unto kings and provinces, that they have moved sedition. So what are they doing?
Was tun sie?
They're going back and digging up things from the past,
Sie gehen
right?
zurück und holen Sachen wieder aus der Vergangenheit hervor.
What was the difference from the Jews in the past?
Was war der Unterschied von den Juden in der Vergangenheit?
They were rebellion.
Yeah, they had fallen from God's grace, right?
Sie haben rebelliert, sie sind von Gottes Gnade abgefallen.
They were wicked,
Sie
right?
waren böse.
But now that they have been set free, they are a righteous people. They've been sent to do that work,
Und
right?
jetzt, wo sie freigesetzt wurden, sind sie ein gerechtes Volk. Sie wurden gesandt, um dieses Werk zu tun.
But they're going to dig up your past and put your past on you as if this is what you are like today,
Aber die
right?
werden deine Vergangenheit wieder hervorholen und sich über dich häufen, und als wärest du heutzutage noch so.
Okay, so they're going to accuse you of tax evasion and also sedition.
Sie
Right.
werden dich anklagen mit
Hinterziehung.
Wie?
Steuerhinterziehung.
Steuerintention.
Hinterziehung.
Ach so, Steuerhinterziehung und Aufruhr stiften.
Okay, verse 16.
Vers 16.
We certify the king that if this city be builded again and the walls thereof set up, by this means thou shalt have no portion on this side of the river. Now that's spiritual, building the temple, right?
Und das ist eben geistlich, dass man den Tempel aufbaut.
So when you're preaching the truth, they're going to dig up everything about you in the past, and they're going to heap it on you, right?
Also wenn du die Wahrheit predigst, dann werden sie Dinge aus der Vergangenheit wieder hervorholen und über dir aufhäufen.
So the thing is, are we ready to walk the walk of shame, right?
Und die Sache ist, sind wir bereit, diesen Weg der Schmach zu gehen?
Okay. So Go to Matthew 22,
Gehen wir zu Matthäus
verse
22,
17.
Vers 17.
Tell us therefore, what thinkest thou? Is it lawful to give tribute unto Caesar or not? What were they trying to catch him out on?
Und was haben sie versucht, ihn zu kriegen?
Whether he agreed that we should pay taxes to Caesar,
Ob
right?
er übereinstimmte, dass man Steuern dem Cäsar zahlen soll.
But Jesus perceived their wickedness and said, Why tempt ye me, ye hypocrites? Show me the tribute money. And they brought unto him a penny. And he saith unto them, Whose is this image and superscription? They say unto him, Caesar's. Then saith he unto them, Render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things which are God's. Right? And that's what it says in Romans 13.
Und das sagt es eben in Römer 13.
Render all the Jews, right?
Also gibt ihm all ihr, was ihnen gehört.
Custom to whom custom. So he tells you what you have to give them, right?
Also Steuern, wem Steuern gebührt. Also er sagt dir, was du geben sollst.
Okay. So there's no new thing at the end of the world,
Es
right?
gibt also nichts Neues am Ende der Welt.
Okay, so Christ was accused of tax evasion, right?
Und Christus wurde angeklagt mit Steuerhinterziehung.
Just like the ancient Jews were accused of, right?
Genauso wie die Juden von alters her damit angeklagt wurden.
Okay, let's see if he's also accused of sedition, right?
Schauen wir, ob er auch mit Aufruhr angeklagt wird.
Next quote.
Nächstes Zitat.
Christ was to be tried formally before the Sanhedrin, but before Annas he was subjected to a preliminary trial. Under the Roman rule, the Sanhedrin could not execute the sentence of death. They could only examine a prisoner and pass judgment to be ratified by the Roman authorities. Okay, so we know you're going to get delivered up to church councils.
Wir
Right.
wissen, dass du vor Gemeinderäte ausgeliefert wirst.
That comes under this,
Das
right?
kommt unter das hier.
Okay, so church councils are going to find you guilty and then hand you to the civil authorities to execute it, right?
Gemeinderäte werden dich dann als schuldig finden und dich dann den Gerichtshöfen übergeben.
It was therefore necessary to bring against Christ charges that would be regarded as criminal by the Romans. An accusation must also be found which would condemn him in the eyes of the Jews. Right? So he wants to have the favour of the spiritually minded people, or so they claim. Right?
Also er möchte, dass er die Gunst des geistlich gesinnten Volkes hat, also sie behaupten es zumindest.
Okay, and also the civil authorities, right?
Und auch den Staatsmächten.
It says, Not a few among the priests and rulers had been convicted by Christ's teaching, and only fear of excommunication prevented them from confessing him. The priests well remembered the question of Nicodemus, Doth our law judge any man before it hear him, and know what he doeth? This question had for the time broken up the council and thwarted their plans. So this law prevents Satan from doing his work, right?
Dieses Gesetz hindert Satan, sein Werk zu tun.
So he has to reverse this law to this order of things in order to obtain what he desires. Right?
Deswegen muss er das Gesetz verdrehen, damit es in dieser Ordnung der Dinge dann ist, damit er seine Absichten erfüllen kann.
Okay, Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus were not now to be summoned, but there were others who might dare to speak in favour of justice. The trial must be so conducted as to unite the members of the Sanhedrin against Christ. There were two charges which the priest desired to maintain. If Jesus could be proved a blasphemer, he would be condemned by the Jews. If convicted of sedition, it would secure his condemnation by the Romans. Okay, no new thing,
Es gibt
right?
nichts Neues.
And go to Matthew 10, verse 24.
Gehen wir zu Matthäus 10, Vers 24.
The disciple is not above his master, nor the servant above his Lord. It is enough for the disciple that he be as his master, and the servant as his Lord. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebub, how much more shall they call them of his household? So the Bible is preparing us what to expect,
Die
right?
Bibel bereitet uns also darauf vor, was wir erwarten müssen.
that mass media, right, will be used before your trial, right?
Also dass, kann man sagen, Massenmedien? Also dass Massenmedien benutzt werden vor deinem Verhör,
Okay, to stir up slander and gossip that's false, right?
um Lästerungen und Tratsch zu verbreiten, die falsch sind,
To bring many false witnesses against you,
um
right?
viele falschen Zeugen gegen dich zu bringen,
To gain the sympathy of the public
um die Sympathie der Öffentlichkeit zu gewinnen
and of the religious-minded people,
und
right?
von den religiös gesinnten Leuten.
Okay, so that when your court case comes, they're just waiting for the verdict to say, hang him, and they'll be happy, right?
Damit, wenn dann der Gerichtsfall, also der sagt man das Fall, kommt, dass sie dann einfach nur auf das Urteil warten, dass er erhängt werden soll, und dann werden sie glücklich sein.
For instance, Christ, right?
Und zum Beispiel Christus.
They says Christ, not Barabbas,
Er
right?
hat gesagt Christus und nicht, he said Christ, not Barabbas.
Yeah, they wanted Christ, not Barabbas. Just say what I'm saying and I'll explain it.
Ah, okay, sorry. Also sie wollen Christus und nicht Barabbas.
Okay, he gave them the opportunity to free Christ, right?
Also er hat ihnen die Möglichkeit gegeben, Christus freizusetzen.
Because Barabbas was a murderer,
Weil
right?
Barabbas war ein Mörder.
But they wanted Christ to be put as the murderer and Barabbas to be set free,
Aber sie
right?
wollten Christus als Mörder hinsetzen und das Barabbas freigesetzt.
Okay, so they were crying for Christ's blood,
Sie
right?
haben also nach Christi Blut geschrien.
And it was because they'd already set their minds on this purpose prior to the court case, right?
Und es war deswegen, weil sie schon ihren Verstand also danach gerichtet haben vor diesem Gerichtsfall.
Okay, so the civil power here says, I find no fault in him,
Die
right?
Staatsmacht hier sagt, ich finde keinen Fehler an ihm.
Okay, so this is the point. It doesn't matter if they find no fault in you, right?
Das ist der Punkt, das tut nichts zur Sache, ob sie keinen Fehler bei dir finden.
The damage is already done, right?
Durch das hier ist der Schaden schon gemacht.
Those seeds of evil have been sown in people's hearts and it's very hard to get them out,
Diese
right?
Samen des Bösen sind schon in den Herzen der Menschen gesät und es ist sehr schwer, das wegzubringen.
So even if you're proven innocent, people will still treat you like you were guilty.
Selbst wenn du dann bewiesen wirst, dass du unschuldig bist, werden dich Leute immer noch so behandeln, als wärst du schuldig.
Okay, next quote.
Nächstes Zitat.
It says, in his speech, Tertullius charged Paul with crimes which, if proved, would have resulted in his conviction for high treason against the government. Against, what was he charged of?
Also mit was wurde er angeklagt?
Treason, which is sedition, right?
Also Verrat, was Aufruhr ist.
We have found this man a pestilent fellow, declared the orator, and a mover of sedition among all the Jews throughout the world, and a ringleader of the sect of the Nazarenes, who also hath gone about to profane the temple. Tertullus then stated that Lysias, the commander of the garrison at Jerusalem, had violently taken Paul from the Jews when they were about to judge him by their ecclesiastical law, and had thus forced them to bring the matter before Felix. These statements were made with the design of inducing the procurator to deliver Paul over to the Jewish court. Okay, so they were also trying to get Paul on the charge of sedition, right?
Wir haben auch versucht, Paulus anzuklagen oder zu kriegen mit dieser Anklage des Aufruhrstiften.
Okay, next quote.
Nächstes Zitat.
Furthermore, this is speaking about Luther.
Er spricht über Luther.
Furthermore, he was apprehensive that the eloquent and powerful argument of this man, who had already wrought so great mischief, might result in turning away many of the princes from the cause of the Pope. He therefore, in the most urgent manner, remonstrated with Charles against Luther's appearance at Worms. He warned, entreated, and threatened until the emperor yielded, and wrote to the elector that if Luther would not retract, he must leave him behind at Wittenberg. The reformer was much disappointed that he was forbidden to defend the truth at Worms. Aleander, not content with this victory, laboured with all the power and cunning at his command to secure Luther's condemnation. With a persistence worthy of a better cause, he urged the matter upon the attention of princes, prelates, and other members of the assembly, accusing Luther of sedition, rebellion, impiety, and blasphemy. There's no new thing, right?
Es gibt nichts Neues.
And see, while you're sitting there having to be quiet, the devil is, with his loud voice, spreading his lies all over the place,
Und
right?
während du dann sitzt und still sein musst, dann verbreitet Satan all seine Lügen.
Okay, but the difference is, we have a God in heaven, right?
Und der Unterschied ist, wir haben einen Gott im Himmel.
And in his law, he has also declared things against those that speak evil,
Und
right?
in seinem Gesetz hat auch Dinge verkündet gegen diejenigen, die Böses sprechen.
Okay, so next heading, trouble will come.
Nächste Überschrift, die Trübsal wird kommen.
Go to 2 Timothy chapter 3,
2. Timotheus 3,
verse 11.
Vers 11.
Persecutions, afflictions, which came unto me at Antioch and Iconium at Lystra, what persecutions I endured, but out of them all the Lord delivered me. What did he do?
Was hat er getan?
How many?
Er hat ihn befreit
All of them, right?
aus allen von ihnen.
Because just as God has placed these principles in his word, he's also placed principles in those who speak against it, right?
Also genauso wie Gott die Prinzipien in seinem Wort aufgeschrieben hat, hat er auch Prinzipien gegen diejenigen aufgeschrieben, die gegen ihn sprechen.
Okay, verse 12.
Vers 12.
Yea, and all that will live godly in Christ Jesus shall suffer persecution, but evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse. What will they do?
Was werden sie tun?
It will only become greater and greater,
Es wird
right?
immer nur größer und größer werden.
Deceiving and being deceived.
Sie verführen und werden verführt.
Okay, so these media outlets, right, which Trump speaks about, calls them fake news, right?
Diese Nachrichtenagenturen, gegen die Trump spricht und sie Fake News nennt.
So we know that all these big companies, right, they're all of this leftist, Marxist agendas,
Wir
right?
wissen, dass all diese großen Firmen, dass sie alle von dieser links- und marxistischen Agenda sind.
Okay, and they're pushing forth their agendas, right?
Und sie treiben ihre Agendas vorwärts.
And it says, by beholding, you become changed into the same image,
Und
right?
es sagt, durch Anschauen wirst du in dasselbe Bild verändert.
So all the people that are part of these media outlets and these social media platforms, you are being leavened by listening to the garbage that they spew out, right?
Und all die Leute, die Teil von diesen Nachrichtenagenturen sind und sozialen Medienplattformen, die werden dann durchsäuert von all dem Müll, der dort verkündet wird.
Because they are the power that's in at the moment, right?
Weil sie sind die Macht, die im Moment an der Macht sind.
When the North comes in, they will spew out all their garbage also,
Wenn
right?
der Norden kommt, dann werden sie auch ihren ganzen Unsinn verkünden.
Okay, go to Psalm 22, verse 11.
Gehen wir zu Psalm 22 und Vers 11.
It says, be not far from me, for trouble is near, for there is none to help. Many bulls have compassed me, strong bulls of Bashan have beset me round. They gaped upon me with their mouths, as a ravening and roaring lion. These are all these accusations, right?
Also, das sind all diese Anklagen.
I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax, it is melted in the midst of my bowels. My strength is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue cleaveth to my jaw, and thou hast brought me into the dust of death. For dogs have compassed me, the assembly of the wicked have enclosed me, they pierced my hands and my feet. I may tell all my bones, they look and stare upon me, they part my garments among them, and cast lots upon my vesture. But be not thou far from me, O Lord, O my strength, haste thee to help me. Deliver my soul from the sword, my darling, from the power of the dog. Save me from the lion's mouth, for thou hast heard me from the horns of the unicorns. I will declare thy name unto my brethren, in the midst of the congregation will I praise thee. Ye that fear the Lord, praise him, all ye the seed of Jacob, glorify him, and fear him, all ye the seed of Israel. For he hath not despised, nor abhorred the affliction of the afflicted, neither hath he hid his face from him, but when he cried unto him, he heard. My praise shall be of thee in the great congregation. I will pay my vows before them that fear him. Right? The Lord is the one that allows you to be afflicted. Right?
Der Herr ist derjenige, der erlaubt, dass du bedrängt wirst.
And the purpose of that affliction is that you will cry unto him.
Der
Right?
Zweck dieser Bedrängnis ist, dass du nach ihm rufen wirst.
So the purpose of these tests that's coming up is so that we will realize how helpless we are without God.
Und der Zweck dieses Tests, der kommen wird, der soll uns dann zu realisieren geben, wie hilflos wir ohne Gott sind.
Our hearts are going to melt, brothers and sisters.
Unsere Herzen, Geschwister, werden schmelzen.
It's going to seem like it's impossible to get out of that.
Es wird uns erscheinen, als wäre es unmöglich, da wieder rauszukommen.
But he promises if you cry upon him and confess your sins, he will deliver you.
Aber
Right?
er hat verheißen, wenn du nach ihm rufst und deine Sünden bekennst, wird er dich befreien.
Okay, next heading. I will recompense.
Nächste Überschrift, ich werde vergelten.
In Deuteronomy 32, verse 35, it says,
5. Mose 32, Vers 35 sagt es.
To me belongeth vengeance and recompense. Their foot shall slide in due time. For the day of their calamity is at hand, and the things that shall come upon them make haste. Right? So it says in Luke 18, the Lord will deliver you speedily. Right?
Vers 18 sagt es, dass der Herr dich schnell befreien wird.
These judges in these courts, right, we read, the Lord has people there that will do his will, right?
Wir haben gelesen, dass Gott eben bei diesen Richtern und in diesen Gerichten Leute hat, also seine Leute hat.
It says he turns the hearts of the kings as he turns the waters, right?
Und er sagt, er wendet die Herzen der Könige, wie er die Wasser wendet.
Okay. So when you cry out to him and you fulfill this, you die to self in the midst of this trial, that's when he will deliver you,
Und
right?
wenn du nach ihm rufst und dem Selbst dann stirbst inmitten dieser Prüfung, dann wird er dich befreien.
Romans 12, verse 19.
Römer 12, Vers 19.
Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Right? It's a promise.
Das
Right?
ist eine Verheißung.
Go to 1 Samuel 25, verse 39.
Geht zu 1. Samuel 25, Vers 39.
Okay, and Nabal spoke evil of David. Right?
Nabal hat Böses gegen David
He
geredet.
said that he was an offshoot.
Er hat
Right?
gesagt, er ist eine Abzweigung.
Okay, it says, and when David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, Blessed be the Lord that hath pleaded the cause of my reproach from the hand of Nabal, and hath kept his servant from evil. For the Lord hath returned the wickedness of Nabal upon his own head. Right? So all those things that were put against David came back upon his own head.
Also all
Right?
die Dinge, die gegen David gesprochen wurden, kamen zurück auf sein eigenes Haupt.
Go to Job chapter 20.
Gehen wir zu Hiob 20.
We know that coming back upon your own head, that's the true scapegoat.
Und
Right?
wenn es auf dein eigenes Haupt zurückkommt, ist das der wahre Sündenbock.
So it's under this system, they will make you a scapegoat.
Unter
Right?
diesem System werden sie dich zu einem Sündenbock machen,
Okay, just so that they can continue their agendas.
damit
Right?
sie einfach ihre Agenten fortführen können.
Okay, Job 20, verse 5.
Hiob 20, Vers 5.
That the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, Where is he? Go to Proverbs 12 and verse 19.
Gehen wir zu Sprüche 12 und Vers 19.
It says, The lip of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. Right?
Sie wird
So-
nur einen Moment.
And this moment is the subject of Bible prophecy.
Dieser
Right?
Moment ist ein Thema der biblischen Prophetie.
If you go to Isaiah 54,
Wenn ihr zu Jesaja 54 geht,
verse 7,
Vers 7,
It says, for a small moment I have forsaken thee, but with great mercies will I gather thee. In a little wrath I hid my face from thee for a moment, but with everlasting kindness will I have mercy on thee, saith the Lord thy Redeemer. Go to 2 Corinthians chapter 4,
Geht zu 2. Korinther Kapitel 4,
verse 17.
Vers 17.
It says, for our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us far more exceeding weight of eternal glory, where we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal. That's faith, right?
Das ist Glauben.
Okay, so last verses, just go to John 16.
Letzte Verse, gehen wir zu Johannes 16.
And this is in relation to what we looked at yesterday,
Und das ist in Bezug darauf, was wir gestern angeschaut
which
haben,
was the birth of Christ.
was die Geburt Christi war.
In the birth of Christ, we read in Genesis 3:16, how was it to happen?
Und über die Geburt Christi haben wir in 1. Mose 3, Vers 16 gelesen. Wie sollte das geschehen?
How was that enmity put in your heart?
Wie sollte diese Feindschaft in dein Herz gelegt werden?
Yeah, you had to have this birth pang experience, right?
Durch Leiden, du musstest diese Geburtswehenerfahrung haben.
Okay, so we read here, okay, it's this small moment, right, that they are going to afflict you, right?
Wir haben bei diesem kleinen Moment gelesen, wenn sie dich bedrängen werden.
John 16, verse 16,
In Johannes 16, Vers 16.
it says, a little while, and ye shall not see me, and again a little while, and ye shall see me, because I go to the Father. Then said some of his disciples among themselves, what is it that he saith unto us, a little while, and ye shall not see me, and again a little while, and ye shall see me, and because I go to the Father? They said therefore, what is this that he saith, a little while? We cannot tell what he saith. Now Jesus knew that they were desirous to ask him, and he said unto them, do ye inquire among yourselves of that I said, a little while, and ye shall not see me, and again a little while, and ye shall see me? Verily, verily, I say unto you, that ye shall weep and lament, but the world shall rejoice. Right? That's this experience, right?
Das ist eben diese Erfahrung.
They will be rejoicing how all these evils have come out about you so that they can reject you and want your hurt, right?
Sie werden sich darüber freuen, wie all das Böse gegen dich rausgekommen ist, damit sie dich dann verwerfen können und dir schaden können.
And ye shall be sorrowful, but your sorrow shall be turned into joy. A woman, when she is in travail, hath sorrow, because her hour is come. But as soon as she is delivered of the child, she remembereth no more the anguish for joy that a man is born into the world. And ye now therefore have sorrow, but I will see you again, and your heart shall rejoice, and your joy no man taketh from you. Okay? This is going to be our experience, right?
Vers 22. Das wird unsere Erfahrung sein.
And in order for us to have that enmity placed in our heart, we must go through this.
Und damit wir die Feindschaft in unser Herz bekommen, müssen wir durch das gehen.
And in order to go through it, you need to understand it, right?
Und um da durchzugehen, musst du das verstehen.
You need to understand. You can forget this,
Du
right?
kannst das hier vergessen.
Because if you focus on this, you're going to become offended.
Weil wenn du dich darauf fokussierst, wirst du Anstoß nehmen.
You have to prepare yourself that this is what you're getting,
Du
right?
musst dich darauf vorbereiten, dass du das erhalten wirst.
And you can just forget your rights,
Und du
right?
kannst deine Rechte vergessen.
Okay? We're not to start saying, I have rights and all the rest of it,
Wir
right?
sollen nicht anfangen zu sagen, ich habe aber Rechte und so weiter.
We got to remember that this is the Lord's chastening,
Wir
right?
müssen daran denken, dass das die Züchtigung des Herrn ist.
And if we don't receive chastening, we are illegitimate,
Und
right?
wenn wir diese Züchtigung nicht erhalten, dann sind wir unehelich.
But I just want us to think about this chastening because it will be terrible.
Und ich möchte, dass wir über diese Züchtigung nachdenken, weil das wird schrecklich sein.
The black balls and the dirty garments they put on you are all the evil that they can get on you from your past,
Diese
right?
schwarzen Bälle und diese schmutzigen Gewänder, die sie dir anziehen werden, das ist all das Böse, was sie dann aus deiner Vergangenheit hervorholen werden.
We need to be very careful what we say, that they don't find things to use against us,
Wir
right?
müssen sehr vorsichtig sein, was wir sagen, damit sie nicht Dinge finden gegen uns.
Okay, shall we close with prayer?
Sollen wir mit Gebet abschließen?
Dear Heavenly Father,
Lieber himmlischer Vater,
Lord, I do thank you that you can, through your word, give us an in-depth understanding of what's coming.
ich will dir danken, dass du uns durch dein Wort zeigst, also in einer Tiefe zeigst, was kommen wird.
You give us living illustrations that we see every day in society
Du gibst uns lebendige Darstellungen, die wir jeden Tag in der Gesellschaft sehen können.
of how we will be treated when we stand up for what's true and stand against that which is false.
Wie wir behandelt werden, wenn wir für das aufstehen, was wahr ist und gegen das sprechen, was falsch ist.
Help us, therefore, Lord, to stay close to you.
Hilf uns deswegen, Herr, dass wir nahe bei dir bleiben.
Help us to forsake all the idols that are in our heart.
Hilf uns, all die Götzen zu verlassen, die in unserem Herzen sind.
And help us, Lord, not to be guilty of anything that they accuse us of.
Und hilf uns, Herr, dass wir von nichts schuldig sind, mit dem sie uns anklagen werden.
And I just pray, Lord, that you would really help us to think much upon this which is before us.
Ich bete, Herr, dass du uns wirklich hilfst, viel darüber nachzudenken, was vor uns ist.
That we would not deceive ourselves as to what we have ahead of us.
Dass wir uns nicht dahingehend verführen, was vor uns liegt.
So please expound this more and more for us.
Deswegen entfalte das immer mehr und mehr für uns.
And as we study your word, help us to see those things in great detail.
Und wenn wir dein Wort studieren, hilf uns, diese Dinge in großem Detail zu sehen.
And we want to thank you and ask this in the name of Jesus.
Und wir wollen dir danken und das im Namen Jesu bitten.
Amen.
Amen.